Hey, Noah Kim. Welcome to Sports Spectrum, buddy. It's good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So you're Coastal Carolina quarterback, Noah Kim. Is that a little weird hearing that when you've been at Michigan State for so many years?
Definitely. I mean, spending 4 years at Michigan State and then a quick turnaround here at Coastal. So it's definitely a little weird, but I'm adjusting.
Good. Well, I'm sure it's a good thing too that you're at Coastal Carolina. We'll talk about the transition and your journey as a football player in a second, but let's talk about your faith. Let's start there. That's where we usually start here on Sports Spectrum. Tell me about the importance of God. Tell me about the importance of Christ in the life of Noah Kim.
Yeah, it's been important to me my entire life. My family has been, they've been believers and they've been a follower of Christ, and they instilled that in me at a young age. I went to church with my grandparents every Sunday, and I just, I try to continue to grow within my faith as well.
That's good. When did that relationship with God kind of take shape for you personally? Because you talk about your family and going to church, but as we know, eventually we grow up and we have to make this faith our own.
Yeah, I think as a believer, everyone wants to say, "Oh, it was from the beginning," but that's not realistic. And I think I took a deeper dive into my faith. It was really in high school, 2018. There was an injury that I had, and through that injury, it brought me. I feel very close to God. I felt He was speaking to me in a way. He was trying to tell me that I have to go through this to get to that next level. And it's just an accumulation of things throughout that whole injury process and coming back from that, where I grew closer to Him.
So interesting when you talk to athletes that play sports at a high level that it's usually in those times, like in the injuries, the down times when your faith is kind of really tested. It's easy when you're throwing touchdowns and you're winning that you can say, yeah, all glory to God or whatever. But it's in those moments when things aren't going great that ultimately I think is when we're tested, but also kind of when we're growing closer to God. Can you kind of unpack a little bit of that for yourself and your story?
Yeah, it's actually it's a crazy story. I remember we were in the regional champion or state semifinal game, and it was a rainy day. We were all excited to play. The team that we were supposed to play showed up late to the game, and I just remember just warming up, throwing the ball around, and my coach came up to me and said, or actually, sorry, let me backtrack.
Yeah.
As I was warming up, I just kept hearing my name being called. It was like Noah, Noah, and
Hmm.
I'm looking around, nobody's around, and one of my coaches walked by, and I said, "Hey, coach, you calling my name?" He said, "No, that's just God telling you everything's going to be okay."
Hmm.
And I've never had any, a relationship with that coach to that extent. We were talking about faith,
Yeah.
and I didn't think much of it. I had a game to play, and so I go out there, and then it was the second quarter, and I break my femur, and I had no idea what was going on, and I just remember going back home a couple of days later after the surgery and everything, and laying in bed, and I was pretty upset with everything that was going on, and yeah, ever since then, I remember going back to school, and I remember seeing the coach, and he's almost in tears. He's like, "Man, I've never said that to anybody. I don't know what made me say that. Me and my family are starting to go into church now, and it's just a crazy experience that just happened with us. And I just remember, you know, just thinking like, wow, he was God was talking to me there. He was preparing me, for that injury, and he was telling me that he's going to be with me through this whole process.
Yeah. Wow. That's a crazy story. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good injury either. Uh, a femur
Yeah,
injury,
not fun.
broken femur. No, not fun at all. So I'm trying to like take it to the next stage of that, right? So as you
Mhm.
get to Michigan State and, some good experiences there, some times where you had to sit and learn. I'm sure you had some even low moments, maybe not as bad as a broken femur, but probably some low moments. How
Mhm.
did your faith evolve there? Because now you're in college and you're away and you're on your own for the first time and you're almost forced to grow up pretty quickly. How did your faith kind of grow, or even what was that like during that time trying to hear that voice of God like you heard when you were in high school?
Yeah, I would definitely say it was a little tougher. I remember, just honestly speaking, I remember, not going to church as much as I was, and just kind of being away from the word itself. And I met some of my best friends that I will, they'll be my best friends for life, and they were believers as well. And then as our relationship became closer, I was able to continue to speak about God with them, and, talk about the different books in the Bible and stuff like that, and continuing to grow there. And it helped me throughout the process because as a quarterback, you want to be out there, you want to be the one taking every single snap. You want to throw the touchdowns, you want the crowd cheering for you. But through 3 years, I didn't see much playing time, and that was definitely tough on me. And I just remember my parents keep saying, just keep praying. God's gonna work out. God's gonna help you make this happen. Just keep trusting in Him, and yeah, that's really what kept me pushing there. And then senior year is when I finally got my first start throughout the first 5 games, and I say my senior year specifically was probably the some of the closest I've been to God Himself because I was surrounded with great teammates that were also believers. Like one of my friends, Nate Carter, he's a running back there. He's a
Sure.
big believer in Christ, and he talks about it. And it's one thing to believe in God, but it's another thing to spread His word. And that's something that I learned through some of those players, some of my friends up there, is that yeah, you could be a believer, but you also have to spread His word among others. So
Yeah, and we do that by the way that we carry ourselves. We do that by actually telling people about the faith that we have, the hope that we have in our lives. Your Instagram says "beauty in the struggle" in the headline up there, in that like little bio area. You talk about that a little bit more, or talked about that earlier, what you meant with this sort of growing closer to God in the midst of a broken femur. But beauty in the struggle, that can mean a lot of different things, especially in the position that you play as a quarterback. Can you kind of share with us what you mean by that, and how are you able to find beauty within the struggle?
yeah, so that quote is something I kind of instilled within myself when that injury happened for me. And I just remember it was actually one of my I refer to him as a brother. We're not related, but my brother Eugene Asante. I remember I was just laying in my bed and I was kind of feeling sorry for myself. And he talked to me and he said, "There's beauty in the struggle." And once he said that, it kind of just clicked in my head, and I put it in my Twitter bio, I put it in my Instagram bio, and everything like that. And what that kind of means to me is, no matter what you're going through in life, the great times are going to be there, and the low times are going to be there as well. It's inevitable. The low times are going to happen, but there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why you're going through these trials. There's a reason why you're going through this injury. There's a reason why you're struggling in this class. There's a reason why you're not playing, and you have to find the light inside that, inside the so-called negativity.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's just kind of what I take away from that quote.
It's also kind of a next play mentality, right? As a quarterback, if you throw a pick or if you make the wrong read, or even if you have a guy wide open and you overthrow him or whatever, that's kind of finding the beauty in the struggle, right? Like, okay, next play, yeah, that stunk, but we got to move on here.
100%.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic being a quarterback, I think, more than any other position, because that has to be the mindset, right? Like, you can be upset, you can be down, you can be unhappy with your play, but you're the one that people are looking to rally around. Like, all right, Noah, what do you got? We're in the huddle here. We got the next play. What do you have? And so I think it's a dynamic that's really interesting with the position that you play. That position you played in high school was pretty good. 41-2, I read as a starter. Tell me if I'm wrong on that stat. But I'm guessing the 41 wins don't stand out as much as the two losses, do they?
Oh, not at all. I don't think about the wins anymore. It's those 2 losses is what I still think about those all the time. Like, man, if we just did this, whatever.
What were those two games? Tell me about them.
Yeah, one of the games is the game I got hurt in. So I kind of don't, count that towards my record, but it's on paper, so that's what it is. But
Yeah.
the other game was the same exact game the following year, the state semifinal game, and we just went up against a good team, and it was a close game, and it could have went either way. It just came down to the last play, and that's what you want in a football game, though.
Yeah, 41 wins though, that's pretty good too. Like it's important, I think, to let the losses kind of refine you, but the wins are what are ultimately going to define you as a quarterback, and to give you an opportunity to have to go through the journey to win 41 games is pretty awesome. What's the biggest lesson you learned during your time in Lansing? Because you said almost 4 years there in Michigan State. What's the biggest lesson you learned there?
I think the biggest lesson for me was to not focus on anything else except for myself when in terms of competition. In every aspect of life, there's going to be some sort of competition, whether you're competing for a job, you're competing for, to be hired with, everybody else that applied to the job, whether it's on the field, anything like that. I can only control what I can control, and, I can't control what anybody else does on the field, in the classroom, in a work environment. So I think just focusing on myself and what I can do and what I can bring to the table was the biggest thing for me, and something I carry forward even here at Coastal Carolina.
Is that something you kind of have had to learn because the landscape of college football has changed since you became a college football player? When you first got to Michigan State, I think that was the COVID year, right? Where
Yeah,
everything was shut down. And I don't even know if there was a season your first year. Was there a season for Michigan State that first year?
we played 7 games, so not a full season.
Yeah. So that alone is okay, brand new, got to adjust. And then every year after that's been an adjustment to where you are now. And now you're at Coastal Carolina. I feel like that's a good gauge though for you as a quarterback and the lessons that you learn to grow and adapt to the landscape and how it changes so much.
Yeah, for sure. And I think especially being athletes, their coaches posting depth charts, when they finally come out, and everybody wants to compete for one spot. And there's only 11 guys on offense and 11 guys on defense, so the spots are limited. And I think a lot of players get caught up into the competition itself and the people that they're competing with, when really they should just be focusing on themselves. And that's definitely something that I learned, and I didn't have that coming in. I'm comparing myself to, when I got there, it was Rocky Lombardi, Peyton Thorne, and other guys like that. And it's like, oh, he made this throw, I got to do this. Oh, he did that, I got to do this. And that's just not it's not a healthy mindset to carry if you want to get to the level you want to be at.
All right, we're talking to Noah Kim here on Sports Spectrum from Coastal Carolina. I don't know if you have a short sleeve shirt on, but can you show your left arm? I think it's your left arm and the tattoo you got. Yeah. The bottom part on your wrist there and the front of your wrist has like it looks like Calvary. It looks like a couple crosses there. Um, what's tell me about that. I mean, assuming that has to do with your faith, but like I'm sure there's a story maybe behind why you got each tattoo that you have, but specifically that one.
Yeah, I mean, well, one, I thought it looked great with the piece, but besides that,
It does.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
thank you. Yeah, and it's just kind of a reminder that not to take anything for granted, because at the end of the day, the only reason why we're all here and we're all doing this is because Jesus Christ went on that cross for us.
Mm.
And so it helps me kind of think in a way where I can live freely because Jesus did this for me. And at the end of the day, as long as I'm a believer in Him, and I try to spread His word, and I abide by Him, you know at, I feel like I'll be able to reach that happiness, and I'll be able to reach all my goals that I set for myself.
Yeah, it's his plan, right? And so it's ultimately his guidance and direction that leads us where we want to go. And it ultimately led you to Coastal Carolina. Tell me about the decision to choose Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, hopping on a phone call with Coach Trickett and Coach Beck, they're just great people. They wanted they I felt the sense of family there. They say that all the time. They have it on their shirts. Just the word family up there, and every I feel like every player wants to join an environment where it feels like family to them, because at the end of the day, we're away from our families. Everybody's coming from all parts of the country, and it is hard being a college athlete, let alone a student athlete. You still have to go to school and stuff, but it's just talking to them, and seeing their goals that they had for me. It wasn't just about them winning games necessarily. It was they wanted to develop me to be the best football player that I can. And Coach Beck and Coach Trickett's track record shows that they get that done as well. So that was a big thing for me.
How was spring ball and getting to practice with everybody and kind of getting acclimated to the program?
Oh, it was great. I had a great time. Especially being at Michigan State for 4 years. I got to come here and learn an entirely new offense. I have to
Yeah.
gel with guys. It's hard being a leader in a new environment as well. So being able to grow in different aspects of the game, where at the end of the day, I felt comfortable, and now I'm in a new situation where I have to start all over again. It gives me a sense of mature. I feel like I've matured a little bit, and it keeps me wanting to learn the game of football. And as long as I'm wanting to learn, I know that I still love the game.
No, that's great. Tell me about the excitement level for this upcoming season. I mean, this is by the time people are going to be listening to this, it's going to be later in the summer and we're going to be excited for football starting. Tell me about your excitement level for this upcoming season.
I'm pumped. I feel like we're already in season mode right now. The way that we're working out, the way that we're talking, the way that we're in our meetings and stuff like that. It's full throttle. The gas pedals on the floor right now, and I couldn't be more excited. We have a great group of guys. We have a lot of new players, new faces. So everybody in Myrtle Beach is going to see something new, exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it too. Coastal Carolina gets a lot of their games are on national TV. If people are thinking about, hey, can I watch Coastal Carolina? Can I watch Noah Kim? Yeah, absolutely can. Just keep an eye out for the schedule. It's right on their website. Let's talk about your favorite play. This is one that I didn't give you a heads up on, but I think you'll be able to get it. Your favorite play call when you were in high school, when the coach threw this play call in, you were like, you're smiling, like you knew it was going down. What's the play call?
Oh man, my high school.
Or is this a bad question because it's been 5 years ago and you're so entrenched in a brand new playbook now?
No, no, I still remember. I still
Okay.
remember my favorite plays.
Okay.
Um, I remember every time my coach, we would call it 58 Prince, and it was a simple play call. It was short. Everybody, and it told everybody what they needed to do. It was just a play action, right or left side, and I roll out to the other side. And I had my number one receiver running a post, and then I had my number two receiver. He runs it out and up, and for some reason it worked every time. Like I don't remember a time it didn't work, and I remember my slot receiver was like one of the fastest kids in the state, and so he would just run by everybody. I would just throw it up. He made me look good. So you love that when it's easy and they make you look good.
Heck yes. Yeah, my nephew was a quarterback and he would say the same thing. It's them. If they're making you look good, if you throw a pass and they go up and get it and take it to the house, they're making you look good. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. What's your pregame routine? And it could be high school routine, it could have been Michigan State. Maybe obviously you're going to develop a kind of a new routine with Coastal Carolina, but what's something Noah Kim has to kind of do before each game to kind of get into a mindset?
Yeah, I say I try not to prepare too early before the game. I feel like that just at the end when the game time comes, I'm thinking too much. But I
Yeah.
say the night before, I always put these headphones on, and I sit there for about 10 minutes, just close my eyes, and I just kind of meditate, and I just kind of talk to myself, not out loud, but
Yeah.
I'll talk to myself. It's really encouraging self-talk, like you know, like kind of like you're the man kind of stuff. Like maybe
Yeah.
it's not those exact words, but like just words of affirmation, kind of like that for myself. And then I wake up in the morning, I get my breakfast, and I'm pretty much listening to music the whole time. I don't listen to rap the whole time or anything like that. I'll throw some like people like Anderson Pack and stuff like that. Just kind of get the blood flowing.
Mhm.
Just listen to good music. I listen to whatever. And then when game time comes, I'll turn in some. I actually listen to like '90s and '80s rap music like right
Yeah.
before the game starts, and
Okay.
that's kind of my go-to. And
Old school. I like
yeah,
it. All right. Well, that was my years. Those were my era of rap music when I listened in the 80s and 90s. So that's good that the youngsters are still checking that out as well. Let me ask you one last question. We asked this to all of our guests, Noah Kim. When you think about lessons, right? I asked you about lessons earlier from Michigan State, but God teaches us lessons every day. I feel like there's lessons that we can look back and we learned over the years. There's lessons that we can learn just yesterday or today. What do you think he's teaching you right now in the season of life you're in? You're in coastal Carolina. Life is good, but what do you think is the lesson he's teaching you right now?
I think right now the lesson for me is to not feel a sense of satisfaction. I think a lot of times when you feel satisfied, you let things slide, you let things go, and that feeling of satisfaction is dangerous because it feels good. Like it feels good to be satisfied. It feels good to be comfortable where you're at. But at the end of the day, I'm not in a place. I'm not in the right place right now where I could feel comfortable. I have to keep getting better. Not only for me but for my team. There's so many other people counting on me, and my family didn't raise me to be 22 years old and just playing college football at Coastal Carolina. There's a lot more to my life, and I'm not just a football player. And I think just all those things. Just there's so much more to do. So feeling satisfied is just it's not the right moment for that right now. And I got to continue to keep building and keep growing, not only in football but just in life and in my faith. You can never be too close to God, and so as long as I keep going, keep staying on the right track, I think God's plan will be perfect for me.
No, that's a good lesson. I just wanted to ask one last question hearing that. What are your hopes? I mean, obviously, I'm sure as a quarterback, yeah, I want to play professionally, play as long as God will allow me to play. But outside of that, what are some of the things that you want to do, as your life gets as you get older and more mature and kind of, I assume get married someday, maybe have kids, all of that. But like, what's Noah Kim's aspirations here?
Right now, it's pretty simple. I haven't thought too much of exactly what I want to do outside of football. I want to play football as long as you can, but
Absolutely.
that's obviously not for the rest of my life. And so, I want to make my parents proud
That's good.
because they've done such a great job in raising me and supporting me. Just making them proud is the least I can do. And I'm sure they'll say that they're proud of me now, but hopefully I can keep getting better at that. And yeah, I just want to be, one day, hopefully I can just be a great husband, a great father, and just let everything else fall into place. I think I have the right work ethic to accomplish anything I want to, whether it's playing football or it's, in the workforce. Yeah, we'll see. That's what I guess that's
Yeah,
what the future holds.
I realize the question I ask when I ask it, it's like, I'm trying to play football and be the best version of myself. And I totally get it. But I also think like your answer was perfect because your parents are proud of you. There's no doubt, but continuing to want to make them proud as you get older, that's something I'm still wanting to do here at 50 years old is make my mom and my dad proud and be the best husband and be the best dad that I can be to my wife and my daughter. So those are good. Noah, those are good. I think you got your priorities in its proper order, we'll just say. And listen, this was fun. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on the show. I wish you nothing but the best and can't wait to watch Coastal Carolina here in 2024. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching Sports Spectrum here on YouTube. You can click our next video or you can check out our website, sportsspectrum.com.